Hello there everyone, and welcome to my very first tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to distort textures using UV unwrapping so that the textures that you place on it and animate with it will flow according to your shape. So first things first, open a new Blender project. You can see mine already opens up with a preset sky. You can make something similar to this. And first thing I want you to do is save it and add a plane. Now the reason we add a plane is because it's the most simple shape I can think of. And immediately we're going to press tab and go into edit mode, and then we press U to unwrap. And you select the first option there, and that by default unwraps it so that it looks like this. Awesome. Okay. Now back into 3D view mode, we exit edit mode through tab, and we scale the shape up along the y-axis by pressing S and then Y, so that it highlights the y-axis, and we stretch it about the length of the grid there. There we go. Now we go back into edit mode, tab, and press Ctrl R to add loop cuts along the length. Let's add about that much. Okay. When you're done, left click, and to prevent it from sliding like this, you just right click, and there you have it. Okay, we do this because if you add loop cuts, it subdivides your UV unwrap. See? And that enables us to now be able to use this shape so that our texture will stretch along this, and when we distort it, it will flow with it. So let me give you an example. Okay, we're going to turn on proportional editing. Smooth is fine. Okay, going to scale this up a bit. Let's do that. Let's rotate it along the z-axis a bit. Okay, and stretch this one out, rotate it as well so that it flows in like an S-type shape, and I want it to have a bit of a faster start, like that, and of course just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, now you see, proper shape. To add some interest, let's pull up some of these edges and create like this wave, if you will. Awesome. Okay, let's smooth that out, smooth shading, and add a new material. Let's call this river, just like the example. And let's call the plane the exact same thing, so we can keep track of what's in our scene and what is not. Okay, up the diffuse, intensity, you can up that. Very sharp, water has a very high specularity. Translucency, it's optional. I tend not to bother with it. Let's leave transparency off for a moment because we want absolute speed when we do test rendering. Okay, now go to the textures tab and add a new texture. This will be called river motion 1, or let's do the whole .000 thing. Then Blender keeps adding up the last digits. Okay, clouds, add a color ramp so that we can intensify the effect. See, higher contrast. And this also enables us to give fancier like effects like that. Okay, and scroll down, set this to UV. Most people don't do this step over here, but I like to do it anyway. Okay, so we have color. For my test scene, I added alpha as well, but not like in super intense. I only put it on 0.1. For mirror, I put it on 0.3. This determines the mirror's color, not the actual reflectivity. That's what ray mirror does. And I put ray mirror on 0.1. and normal influence on 0.1 as well. Typically normal influence is very strong even on the offset, so that's why I put it at 1. Let me show you what it looks like on 1. Add a lamp, let's make it a sun. Oh, to add something you just press Shift A. You can then get to the add menu, or you can go at the top and add stuff from there. Okay, let's give it some shadow. Excellent. Okay. Now use rendered view, as it's a very quick way to see it. See? There you can see the distortions. Okay, so let's take our river and set it to 0.1. Do that and turn color off completely, and there you can see it's at the exact level that would be acceptable for a small stream. Okay, if you want to, you are welcome to increase this to about like 2. 2 does the job. One thing I should mention though is your Z becomes absolutely useless. As you can tell, there's no change, even though the render view changes. Okay, so we can just leave that at 1 and put color back. Awesome. Now we can go back here and adjust our transparency, put alpha to 0. Specularity has to stay at maximum. If you want to, you can increase that. And set it to ray trace, because water distorts everything that is behind it. So let's put it at like 1.2, 1.5, around that size. Okay, just to show you the effect it has, I'm going to switch back to solid view and add a cube. Yeah, that will do. And click on render view. See, it changes this. Okay, switching back to solid. I'm just going to reduce the distortion to 1.25. It's a lower value, so it should be a little bit more convincing. 1.2. Let's see how far it is. Yeah, 1.2 is a bit much. Let's make it like 1.1. Yeah, 1.1 will be fine. Okay, now we go back to solid view. Obviously you want to improve this shape's quality, if you will. So you can just add some subdivision to it, about twice will do. But you see these rounded edges, we want to sharpen those up. So select these 3 and press Shift E and stretch it out. You can call this the mean crease. It's at the top of the transform, and you press the N to open this panel. It's this one right here, mean crease. Do the same thing on the other side. Remember, this is not mandatory. This is just something I prefer to do. I like it if it has clean edges. It looks almost like the Coke line. Okay. And if you want to, you can solidify it like in the example. I added about that much so that it just has some thickness. You can see that it distorts incorrectly over here. It stretches past and it stretches in. In order to fix this, all you need to do is apply rotation and scale, and there you go. You do that by pressing Ctrl A, selecting rotation and scale. This applies the scale and everything so that the scale will be exactly 111 and the rotation will be 0. And location as well. Okay, and then we just exit that, close there, and there you have a small river running through thin air. Isn't that brilliant? Okay. If you want to reduce this softness over here on the edges, all you need to do is add some loop cuts along the width. All you need to do is just go into edit mode again, press Ctrl R, and place it on the edge where you want to actually increase the loop cuts. And just add about 2 or 3. 3 is a bit excessive, so let's just add 2. Yeah, 2 will do. Oh, snap. There we go. Okay, there we go. That looks really cool. So now, if we go into rendered view, you will see something like this. But that's not enough. We actually want it to move. So in order to get it to move, we go back here. Let's just reduce this, otherwise it sucks up way too much power. Okay, we go back into the textured view, in texture tab, and we scroll down to find our offset settings. It's usually translate in other areas. So if you move it along the x-axis, you'll see it moves sideways typically. See, moves sideways. But that's not what we want. We want it to move along the length of it. So if you do that, you can see that increasing Y means it flows this way. Decreasing Y will mean it goes this way. So we are going to make sure we increase it. Now to add a keyframe to this and make it move, you right click on the value and you say insert single keyframe, unless of course you want all of this to be affected. But since we don't want it to move along the width or Z, because Z is just useless in this case, we'll only be using a single keyframe. Okay, now that's on frame 1. Move it to frame 250 and set it to, say, 1. Yeah, let's say 1. And say insert single keyframe. Now, typically this means it'll have a slow start, fast middle, and slow end. And let me show you why. Because it flows like this. I'm going to increase this so you can see what it does. See, it has a slow start, quick middle, slow end. To fix this, it's already selected, so we don't need to press A. Press V when everything is selected. Select vector. And now go into channel extrapolation mode and say linear. This means that even if you go this way or that way, the animation will still continue, which is fantastic, because if your animation gets longer than you intended, the animation is already fixed. Okay, go back into 3D view, and now if you just scroll slightly through them, you can see how the texture moves along the river, if you will. Fantastic. Okay. Switch back to solid, enable all this again, and let's see what our camera sees. Okay, our camera is a little far away to show you what I want you to see. If you scroll down a bit, there we go, and rotate it along the y-axis, I really want you to see what it does with the sides. There we go. Let's see if it renders out the way we want it to. Not quite, but I can tell you the problem. The main problem with this method of texturing is it stretches along the thickness. So, for example, instead of having these like straight lines over here, you'll have vertical lines that flow along the thickness of it. In order to remedy this, we usually just add another texture to it that we can animate along the z-axis on generated textures. So to have that, we can just add a new texture and call it river motion .001. You can leave this off if you want. Leave it on generated. Let's just put it on color and alpha for now and turn off the transparency here for a moment. You can add the ramp, just makes it better. And if we render at 50% is a bit large, let's make it 20 for now, and there we go. Okay, now we have a rough idea of where the texture will be, because these thick spots over here are from the new texture. If you use those thick spots and you make them a bit smaller, let's say we make this 2 all around, see it render again. Yeah, that should make a good impression. Okay, ticking off alpha, adding normal. Let's see what it looks like. See, now we have the edges we want. Now, typically when you have a river or a stream or some kind of a water flow that you use to fake, if you will, a water simulation in this method, you can manipulate this texture to generally flow in the direction of the water. In this case, instead of flowing like this texture will just go from here to there, or from there to there. usually in a straight line. But I'll leave the animation of this one up to you. You do it pretty much exactly the same as the previous one. In my case, I'm just going to be animating it along the Z-axis if that moves in the correct way. So to see if it does, I'm going to turn off the subsurface modifier to see if it moves in the right way. I have to keep the cube there and hit render. Okay, go back to material, then texture, and start moving it. Okay, now I see that moves in the wrong direction. I don't want it to go that way. I want it to go that way. So we are going to increase the Z. So insert single keyframe. Oh, wrong position. Clear that. Delete single keyframe. Start at 0. Insert single keyframe. Go to 250. This one can move at roughly the same speed. I'd recommend you add variation here. So let's make it 1.5, for example. And insert single keyframe. Then same thing as we did before with the first texture to make it flow properly and consistently. We go into the graph editor, press V again, vector, and extrapolation linear. Okay, back into 3D view. Now we should be able to see what it looks like. There we go. Now you see that makes a huge difference. See how it flows unevenly? It's just absolutely brilliant. Okay, if you want to, you can leave color on for this, but it's generally a bit excessive, so I recommend you turning that off. And adding another river texture. Now we add another one because if you have only the one river texture that flows along the shape, it is not convincing enough, especially if you fly with the camera along the stream. So in order to fix that, you just need to duplicate the first river motion texture and press on the 2 to give it a unique data block or a unique user. So just click on the 2. It'll already rename it to you for you. Put this back on UV. Select that. And this one we are going to make smaller. Going to make it smaller, and we're going to make it flow a lot faster. So we are using the exact same settings, putting it on 0 or 1, sorry. Inserting a new keyframe, just moving it a bit off so it doesn't align perfectly even on the first frame. You can make this any value if you want to. Make 3000, make it minus 200, minus 1 even, doesn't make a difference. At least as long as it's not on top of the other texture. And then go back to 250 and let's make this one, I don't want it to flow exactly double the speed, so let's make it like 1.8 and insert keyframe, single keyframe. Okay, then we go back to graph editor, same process. If you want to, you can do this all at the end by selecting everything. Extrapolation mode, linear, and go back into 3D view. Now, if you do this, let me just scroll along it. See? Much better. You can just see that the Z is looking a bit strange. It actually kind of looks cool. Looks like as though it's spinning around itself. Okay. Let's leave that as is. And add subsurf back. Save, obviously. You want to save often enough, especially if you're working in rendered view, because it can fail extremely quickly. Okay, go back into the material, click on transparency again, and there we have it. We have transparency back. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to zoom out, go into solid. Now we need to add some sort of an environment so you can see how this river looks as it flows. In order to do that, we're just going to add some cubes in the area. If you want to, you can use a mirror modifier for this one, but I prefer to just add them quickly by hand. If you want to, you can use various shapes. You can use the Suzanne monkey head. You can use cones. You can use a mixture of shapes. You can add diamonds. It's totally artist's choice on this matter. Okay, duplicate some random stuff. Rotate them 90 degrees. Put it there. Just do as much as you feel is necessary to actually see the motion. This is just to make it visible and show you that this method is actually viable for various things. This would not actually, in most cases, function as a final scene. Unless, of course, you're working on some sort of a fantasy project where you have floating castles and waterfalls that come out of nowhere, that sort of thing. That should do it. Let's just add a few more. Deselect the sun. Okay, duplicate that, rotate it along the z-axis and along the x-axis so we can have some height. Along the z, about there, a little bit forward. And there we have it. There's a view, right there. Let's just move a cube so we have something at the end of the image, about there. Okay, now if you save it again and you go into rendered view, there you go. It does seem a bit busy, but the only reason is because we have very harsh shadows. If you take the harshness out of the whole image and place the camera, you do this by pressing Alt Control Insert in the number pad or number pad 0 and split the view and move the camera out a bit so that we can see the whole curve. There we go. Close it up again, save it, and hit F12 to see it. Ah, see, that looks good. Okay, in order to soften everything up, we go into the World tab, and then we add Ambient Occlusion on Multiply, leave it at a factor of 1, and add Environment Lighting. Environment Lighting is what gives us extra softness, but we don't need a lot of it, just like 0.2. Now if you render it, that looks fantastic. Okay. One thing I do absolutely recommend for speedy tests is to keep it at a low resolution, reduce anti-aliasing, and take out everything extra, including transparency if that's absolutely needed. In this case, we will be making a test render to see how the speed goes. So let's just press animation, do like 100 frames, and hit animation. See, that's how fast it renders if you take advantage of this. Okay, going into the video sequence editor, add an image, go test render, and click on that to see it. Press 1, and then scroll forward, and you can press play. Oh, that looks good. Okay, just gonna have to change the Z up a bit. It doesn't really flow consistently. I think the value may be a smidge too high. So let's go back into that. That would be river motion 0.01. Yeah, it's way too high. Let's set it to, let's make it 0.2. No, 0.2 is too high, 0.05. Okay, scroll back up, hit F12. Oh, it's not going to show right, my bad. I have to remove this first. Press F12 again. There we go, now that looks good. Okay, let's do another quick test. See, that's why I always recommend reducing it. Fantastic. Okay, go into the sequence editor, press back, add your images. Oh, by the way, you select everything here by pressing A. Add image strip. If you put the marker over here at frame 1, then you'll be set when it's inserted. And there you see it. See how it flows along the curve. At this point in time, you can, if you want to reduce the color influence. I think it's not like super necessary, but if you feel it is, then you are more than welcome to do so. Okay, so we're leaving this one again, switching this to 100%, anti-aliasing, 8 samples, adding back our ambient occlusion and environment lighting, leave off indirect lighting. It's a nightmare with transparent materials, at least for me so far. And hit F12 to see what the big picture looks like. Sure, this is taking a while. But there you can see it. Beautiful distortion flows along the river. In this case this way, but you're always welcome to switch it around if you want to. Okay, and that's it for this tutorial. I hope you gained some valuable insight from it, and I hope that you share it with other people as well. Have a good day.